Welcome to the Tartan Touchdown episodes, where we take you through all of the latest stories and talking points from this week in the NFL. Now, football is absolutely back. Week 2, bar a double dunk, Monday Night Football, is in the books, and what a week. Now, we have had a distinct lack of extreme weather this week, but the action on the field more than made up for the calmer skies. Now, this week, I am joined by a man who has had to be kind, a roller coaster of a Sunday night. Now, he is a giant of a man and a giant of a Giants fan. It is Gav. How you doing, mate?
Oh, it's, great to be here. And yeah, it's absolutely, stacked weekend of football. Obviously, we're talking NFL, but even in the domestic game, I guess give a quick shout out to Glasgow Hornets, who went back to back in the national championship in the UK. And we saw torrential rain actually rain out the America's flag championship at the tail end. So we had some shared gold medals, which must be a first in history. So, to come from that to Super Bowl rematches and shootouts in Dallas, it's been quite a stacked weekend all around.
Absolutely. It has been some weekend for all of the American football flag and BAFA content out there. So on episodes, each week we are going to take you through the big stories of the weekend, and we're going to discuss some of the key aspects throughout the slate of games. Now, there really only is one place to start this week, Gav, and I'm really sorry if it's going to give you flashbacks. Although, to be fair, I don't think there can be many Giants fans out there who expected to be hotly contesting many games. So having your heart broken in overtime, it must, dare I say, a pleasant surprise?
Yeah, I think let's start with the positive, because do you know what? I don't think that game was in many people's bingo cards. I mean, we want to talk about the big stories of the weekend, and coming into week 2, time's gone by, Giants Cowboys would pretty much be a guaranteed primetime fixture. It's not been like that for several years. It's bumped into the early games, and who can blame them, really? But this was a game that just kept giving and giving and giving, and then overtime happened, and then it looked like we could actually get the dreaded tie before Mr. Aubrey finally put everyone out there at the street. But yeah, Giants perspective, I guess, being the homer team for myself, we're still owned at the end of the day. But having come off of a week 1 where we didn't find the end zone, and then suddenly we've got Russ, who is suddenly cooking in the Big Apple. 450 yards. I was doing the maths in my head and thinking, maybe if Neighbours breaks one, he could go for 500 in a game. But no, Steady decides to kind of put up an air ball late in the game. Robbed of the win. And I think that it's late in the season. You're absolutely gutted. But you and I, we're sitting here. It's not Victory Monday for us. We're in the Owen Club. As defeats go, it's not the the worst it could have been.
Oh, it's one of these things, as you say. I mean, it was. You were playing at 6 o'clock. But, you delivered primetime action. Okay, so yeah, for everybody listening, if you've not caught the scores yet, we've maybe given it up a bit slightly. So you need to get that fixed, you need to get yourself into the all highlights. But it's something for me, I would have thought that most Giants fans were looking at this year, your expectations are fairly measured. You're not going out there, yes, Russell Wilson has a storied career in the league. He has done many, many brilliant things. Right now, at this point in his career, after the year he had last year, he's not a kind of a hotly contested quarterback in the league. But holy hell, like, as you say, 450, he was 2 yards off his career best. 452 is his absolute career best. Now, one of my questions for you is, what was the Cowboys' defense doing? Because surely that's got to be a question. Last week we watched them stay competitive with the Super Bowl champs. We had Cowboys, Eagles, and there wasn't a lot in that. The they held the Eagles to 24 points in a measly, pathetic 152 yards through the air. And then Russell Wilson absolutely cooks them. So, I don't know. What is this? Are the Cowboys DBs just not great? Is Wilson him? Are we witnessing the return of peak career Russell Wilson? Or dare I say it, how dare any DB pretend that they can hold back the monster receiver that is Wan'Dale Robinson?
Well, if we look at the Dallas side, it possibly comes back actually to the Micah Parsons trade. You have lost your biggest threat on the defensive line, and that was the big issue for the Giants in Washington last weekend. Was Wilson had no time at all. It was just everyone talked about Danny Dimes and his woes, but you swap in for Super Bowl winning MVP quarterback. But if he doesn't have the time, he's not going to get those throws away. There was pressure at points, but for the most part, he had the opportunity to go and make throws. And it wasn't just dink and dunk stuff that was broken for a big gain. He dropped a bomb to Wan'Dale Robinson. He also dropped two spectacular catches to Malik Neighbors. And I think as much as we are kind of riding a bit into the Cowboys' defensive backs, what looked like the game-winning touchdown, and there was pass interference called against the Cowboys in this, but Malik Neighbors basically had a defender's hand over his visor, and he still brought that thing in. It wasn't just high scoring in terms of the scoreboard, but we get some absolute fireworks in terms of the touchdowns as well. Hell of a game. I guess the one thing that I was mindful of, and I'd said this to you guys in the first half, is after the first Neighbours touchdown, this is going to be OBJ all over again. We get a spectacular catch from the Giants receiving the first half. And we're going to get to, next week or next year or 5 years down the line, and everyone will be talking about the catch and forget that actually didn't win the game, which did happen. But yeah, if you're going to lose, that was definitely losing with style.
Yeah, well, you don't need to worry about Neighbours being the next OBJ, because the only person that applies to this week is Mr. Tesla, with do you know? I didn't actually realise this. So he has played 2 games. He has had 2 catches, and both of them have been outrageous one-handed grabs. But we are not talking about that right now. So yeah, but Wan'Dale, as much as I'm teasing, Wan'Dale, he looked brilliant. To the tune of 8 receptions for 142 yards and a touchdown. But as you say, the main man in the Giants' wide receiving room is one. There is Malik Neighbours, who, an insane, he had 1 extra catch, he had 9 catches, 167 yards and 2 scores. It's wild. Now, it's interesting that you say you're making comments in the first half, because this is a game that, as you worked your way through it, it was reasonably quiet as we were as the game was going. But once we hit that fourth quarter, it leapt into life. We had 41 total points. Every single drive in the fourth resulted in a score. Aubrey, 44-yard field goal. Scattable, Russian TD with a very nice 24-yard run, and then he punched in for the one because they felt sorry for him that he get dragged down right before he made paid up. Then we had a Sanders Russian TD. 6 minutes. Well, nearly 6 minutes. There's a lovely 25-yard pass in there and all. Then, as you quite rightly say, 32 yards to Wan'Dale. Then Pickens responds with one. Then 48 yards to Neighbours. Then a 64-yard field goal to tie it. And then we all ran out of breath. And then we went into overtime. And then everyone forgot how offense worked. And it all got really weird.
It all got very weird. And I guess, it's good to see the defenders remind everyone that they're people too, especially when, you've seen 74 combined points up to that stage. But I think what that was interesting is that we had a couple of plays, Russ had a big day through regulation, and then there were just a couple of uncharacteristic errors. So I think on the Giants' first possession, he essentially threw a backwards pass, which was ruled a fumble.
That was an interesting interpretation of that rule.
He didn't. He didn't actually seem to take a great deal of contact. It almost seemed like he was pushed on the back rather than like taking a proper hit. So that felt a little bit strange. The interception that he threw on the Giants' second possession, I think that was second down when he threw it. There was no one around, so I mean, given how well Neighbours and the mighty Wandale had done earlier,
Wandale.
I can see why you'd want to take be feeling pretty good about taking a deep shot, but it wasn't a situation where you had to go for that play. There was no one around. So yeah, it was a bit of a strange finish. I guess my other reflection, of course, from the Cowboys side is Mr. Aubrey, because I think it was definitely looking like you're going to get a Hail Mary attempt at the end of that game, but it just shows you that, he has the leg to make it from 70. And actually,
it was 64 yards and there was spare. That did not trickle its way over the bar at 64. It was comfortable.
Yeah, and it just shows you that actually, in that kind of situation, most teams, when you're down by 3, especially in this analytics era, do you want to take a chance in tying the game, or are you just going to go all out and put the ball in the end zone and try to win it there and then? And actually, when you have a kicker like Aubrey, and I'm going to say, I think in the game that we saw yesterday, Dak was kind of fickle. There was some iffy throws in there as well. Actually, you want to, rather than put the ball in the hands of your quarterback, put it in the boot of Brandon.
With the toe of the kicker. Well, yeah, because we spend a lot of time talking about special talents. You know what I mean? We talk about lots and lots of special players, and they tend to be skill positions. They tend to be quarterbacks. An edge rusher maybe sneaks their way in a good day a corner. Mm-hmm. You tend not to talk about special talents in the kicking position, and Aubrey absolutely deserves to be held up in that regard. I'll go out on a limb. I say kickers should be paid better. When you think how many games are decided, but I say this as a Browns fan with I don't need a long memory. How many games are decided off the toe of your kicker? Lots and lots of them. And if you've got a weapon like that in Dallas, yeah, you can do that. 60 plus yards to go. As long as you know they're not going to catch it, hoof the thing and go for it. It was some game. What a way to start week 2. Well, not to start week 2. What a way to start the show talking about it in week 2. What an advert for football. It is exactly what we all love to see, and it's why we love the game. Now, going from one game that people maybe didn't expect a lot of to another game that no one expected absolutely anything of, but it absolutely delivered as well. We had the battle of the bottom of the briny sea. We were left wondering, are the Dolphins really, really done? Are they this year's comedy team? Apparently not. Evidently they're not. Now, they didn't walk away with a win for this one because, oh dear, that Dolphins defense looks absolutely terrible. But the offense showed some signs of life. We had Tua putting up 315 yards on 26 passes, couple of touchdowns and a pick. That was not bad. What were your thoughts on the Dolphins this week?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm very much like yourself. I mean, I guess it's probably a little bit harsh week 1 or week 2 now saying that it's a battle of the bottom feeders because, there were a few people, and you might have been one of them, Brian, that had a little inkling about the Patriots coming into the season.
I did, but I'm still going to stand by. I think the Dolphins are going to be muck all year. And I say that as, listen, game knows game. Game recognises game. As a Browns fan, I know a bottom feeder when I see one. And those Dolphins are on our level.
I think on that side of things, we saw them getting absolutely horsed by the Colts in week 1. And obviously there's a lot going on with Tyreek. And I think you've got question marks still over Tua, both in terms of his long-term health and his just sort of general capability as a QB1 in Miami. But I think for me, yeah, it's definitely a game that exceeded expectations.
It was interesting because, as you mentioned, Tyreek went for 109 yards. Didn't get a score. Didn't get a score on the day, but he did get 109 yards. A-Chain, sorry, went for 11 carries and 30 yards. So you go, boo. But then he went for 8 receptions for 92 yards and a score. So, yay! It was very interesting because I don't know, I was seeing the Dolphins, and Waddle also chipped in with a score as well. Very nice, actual touchdown grab, to be fair, from Waddle. Are we seeing the Dolphins trying to get that quick offense going again? You know what I mean? This offense was built on the idea of everyone we have is just much faster than you. So go for it. The defense is struggling. The defense looked anemic at best. So I don't know. I suppose there's like a question then is, do we have a Miami offense or the signs of one that can maybe keep the team in games while the defense tries to figure it out?
I mean, if you're going to put up points in the game, you're always going to have the opportunity. Yeah, sometimes that's just going to have to be you've got to find your way to win. So if it's going to be high tempo, and that's what works for Miami, and I think that's absolutely something that they need to go for. It's always strange this time of year because it does feel like September has become the new preseason. So for me,
hang on a minute, Gav. Wait a minute here. You're a Bengals fan. I'm talking to somebody in Cincinnati live.
yeah, I think we just, I guess that's the thing. We've got we've only added on one game, so we'll get a slightly longer season. So the stakes, week 1, week 2, even week 3, it's not quite time for panic stations for everyone. There are maybe a couple others we'll come on to later, but yeah, I think we're still at a stage where we're finding out a lot about these teams. Particularly when everyone's more inclined to rest the starters more than ever than before in the preseason, the real preseason. It's almost like, let's see how we get to the end of September, and then we've got a real feel for how these teams actually look. So I think we've got 2 teams here in the AFC East that, we probably not expect them to fully compete with the Bills, but it's difficult to see exactly what we've got for either of these teams. Patriots maybe not quite the dark horses that everyone thought they'd be coming into the season, and I think the Dolphins, like you say, got shellacked week 1, look much more competitive week 2, but I think we're going to need a bit more evidence.
Well, it's interesting because the Pats, it wasn't pretty, but getting back to 500 doesn't need to be pretty. You just need to get there. You just need to get wins in the table. And we'll look through some of the Pats' performances, and there's a couple of bits that jump out. Like, principally, Mondre, the much maligned all off-season. This man's entire career was finished. But he looks like he's very much in favour in the Vrabel offence. 11 carries for 54 yards, then another 5 receptions for 88. Now, he didn't get any scores, but he kept the chains moving, he kept the team going. And it's something that now, and I couldn't believe this stat when I seen it, it has been nearly 3 years since the Patriots put up 30-plus points on anyone. 6 games. And I did know this one, to be fair, but that is also the first win in Miami since 2019. Are we seeing signs of life? Should we be, New England fans out there, I ain't saying we're back to the Bill and Brady days, but are we back to the days when you can at least, wear a Patriot shirt in public and not feel embarrassed about yourself?
I mean, I was, I kind of pummed you up about kind of backing the Patriots for the season. I was very much buying that as well. So I do think that there is reasons to be optimistic, and I guess I can sympathise with Pats fans over the last several years, just in terms of how your team's doing. I think you see a game like that, even just the opportunity to be back in the conversation is going to be a great thing.
Yeah, and it's that kind of thing where they are now, because at the end of the day, if we think about the AFC East for a minute, right, the Bills are going to win it, they're going to horse it, it's not going to be tremendously competitive at the top. The remainder of the spots, though, now, particularly now that we've got Justin Fields in concussion protocol. We know how tricky that can be. Sometimes, yep, you are in and out in very, very quick time, and other times you can be stuck in concussion protocol for quite a while. So that's going to hamper what could be a promising start, or what we thought was maybe a promising start for the Jets. And we thought that after week one, and I suppose it's the danger of making bold predictions week one, we thought that the Dolphins were going to be, as we say, absolute bottom feeders, and they would be absolutely nothing. But then they go up and they put 27 points on the board. They keep themselves competitive right into the game. So yeah, do we have, I'm not going to say a competitive division, because that's a wild missell. The Bills are winning it and it won't be close. But in terms of the remainder of that division, do we have something that could be quite tight going through the year?
It definitely feels that way. I mean, I think coming out of week one, even in defeat, the Jets actually looked pretty good. Now, obviously, it was a heavy defeat against Buffalo. I don't think we kind of need to go too heavily into that game, but the Bills are the class act, not just for that division, but of the conference. So it's probably to be expected. So I think there's signs of life in the green half of New York, who've not really had it much better than the Giants, to be perfectly honest, of late. But part of that was kind of predicated on Justin Fields. I think he did have himself a day against the Steelers, and him staying healthy, that's probably going to be a big part of whether or not they can do something in the division.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting. We're going to go into next week, and we'll wait and see. We don't actually have any confirmation what's going to be the situation with Justin Fields next week, whether he'll make it out of concussion protocol or not. But there is a difference between having Justin Fields under centre and having Tyrod Taylor. They are not the same guy. As much as Tyrod Taylor, actually, as backups around the league go, is one of the certainly more serviceable ones. He's a backup for a good reason. Right, okay. It is time for a very, very posing question. And because, Gav, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 0-2, and I'm not going to sing it in a Taylor Swiftie voice. Yes, it is from two games that maybe didn't have lots of eyes on them before we started week two. There were a lot of eyes, because how could there not be, on a Super Bowl rematch? Yes, everybody was watching it. We have got the 1-0 Eagles facing off against the 0-1 Chiefs. The Chiefs facing the risk of joining the 0 club. Surely not. I hear you say, sir. Surely so. We watched this one, and the Chiefs lost. It wasn't an incredible game for the old neutral. 20 points to 17. But I don't know. For me, the story here is: are we really watching the Chiefs slide? Now, you had talked about it earlier. It's are we in patience or panic territory? A wonderful article that you've seen. What do you think? If you're a Chiefs fan and you're watching this, is this a case you go, no, it'll be fine, it's week two? Or are we starting to say, hang on a minute here, we can't string anything together on offense at all?
Yeah, and I think just the mere fact that you're 0-2, that I think shouldn't be a sign of a reason for panic for a team like the Chiefs, because it's early in the season. You've been in similar situations before, and you know what it takes to turn it around. But I think it's the fact that, yes, that this was the Eagles, who beat you quite substantially in the Super Bowl, but this was in your own house. This game was at Arrowhead. Your other loss was against the Chargers, who, again, are no mugs and obviously a division rival. But the Chiefs have still got that slate of first-place teams that they will all need to face off against. There's going to come a time when they're going to have to face the Ravens. They're going to have to face the Bills. And that's a situation, again, where if you're on a run, you're on a tear of games. Last year they start off with a big undefeated run, and then you can afford to drop a game. that's fine. But if you're already 0-2 and you've got, to play the Bills and the Ravens, and you really need to win both those games now to keep yourselves in contention for the division and for seeding in the AFC, is looking like, I mean, we talked before about what is bad, what is a bad season for the Chiefs, because the Giants fan, the Browns fan here, picking very much at the top of the draft, repeatedly.
Get a winner one day, Gav.
Yeah, there's no danger that we're going to see the Chiefs in that kind of situation. But are we looking at 500? Are we looking at what I guess even 8 wins is now a losing season, and this is a tough division. Every other team in the division won week 1. We know the Broncos have dropped a game, and you've got the Chargers and Raiders playing each other tonight. So one of them will be 2-0, the other one will be back to 500. But there's plenty of competition there, and the Chiefs, yes, have been a class act, won 2 Super Bowls and a couple more over the longer period, but they've had it their own way in the division, and I think they're going to face some real challenges along the way that they can't just coast through. Last year, they had a particularly easy schedule. That's not going to be the case this year. When you're seeing Patrick Mahomes, yeah, he came up with plays at times. Well, he also missed some wide open throws.
Yes, he did. Now, do you know what? We'll see when you think about this, right? So, the last time the Chiefs went 0-2 was 2014. It's been a hot minute since the Chiefs were staring down the barrel at 0-2. And I am going to call it that we are going to see history repeating itself here, because in 2014, when the Chiefs went 0-2, they finished with a 9-7 record, missed the playoffs. I am calling it, we are going to see a similar record here. We're going to see something 9-8, that type of marker. And yeah, I don't think it's going to be enough in the AFC to get you through. I think there's too many good teams in the AFC side. I think that is not going to do it for you. I'll tell you what, Gav, we're gonna play a quick game, right? Because I've just thought of it, and it's interesting when you think about this, right? So, Chiefs have got their bye in week 10. Okay, so we are two in. They have got another run of games. Let's see. I want just really quickly win-loss. Okay, so based on the Chiefs right now, the first one you need to be honest.
Uh-huh.
So, week 3, Giants. Be honest, Gav. Are the Chiefs winning?
I'll give them a win.
Right, so 1-2, Ravens.
Loss.
1-3, Jags.
That's a win.
2-3, Lions.
That's a loss.
2-4, Raiders. In Vegas.
Vegas. Yeah, I'll go loss there. I'm going to go loss.
Okay, so 2-5, Commanders. 2-6. Are we seeing this?
Yeah.
And then we would have the Bills, then they've got the bye. Bills is current form. You know what I mean? But this isn't. This is not, ladies and gentlemen, an anti-Kansas City podcast. But you need to look at the form book now. A couple of those I would maybe disagree with. I think they'll probably beat the Commanders. I think they'll probably beat the Raiders. But still, I think you look at that and it's perfectly fair to say the Chiefs could be going into the bye this season at or below 500. And yeah, they get a little bit easier when they come out of the bye. Broncos, Colts, Cowboys, Texans, the Chargers, Titans, Broncos, and they finish the year up. Oh, sorry, they finished the year at the Raiders. So Raiders are at Arrowhead.
Right, okay.
It's still though. It's still going to be. They might bring it out at the end of the season, but it's not an easy year for everyone in KC. Now the other one. The other side of this tale is obviously the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, a very good friend of mine, Philadelphia Eagles fan, who I speak to all the time and spoke to him lots and lots last year, and we kept seeming to have the same conversation when we talk about the Eagles. And it's every single week the Eagles do just enough to win. And we've seen it with Chris Jones at the end of the game last night, giving You're under 100 yards, but we won the game. Is this what? Are we seeing this again? Are we watching? Talked about history repeating itself a minute ago. Are we seeing it happen with the Eagles? Are we going to watch an Eagles team, one score victory after one score victory week after week to teams, and just before you know it, you're like, hang on a minute, you're Super Bowl favourites again.
Yeah, I mean, we did the preseason pod, and I tipped the Eagles not to win, but certainly to go back to the Super Bowl. And I think yes, we've got our question marks about the Chiefs, but I still don't see any reason to back down from that as it stands. It's a team that knows how to win. They didn't start particularly quickly last season either, but there's just so many pieces there. Obviously, you've got the offensive tandem. Of AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, Saquon Barkley in the backfield. They've got two absolutely brutal lines on offense and defense. I mean, I'm probably just rehashing what I said in my preseason picks now, but there's just so many pieces in that team. As I say, in an era where teams will have Super Bowl hangovers, some teams spend the early phases of the season trying to rediscover their identity. There's no question marks with this Eagles team at the moment. And yeah, like you say, finding a way to win, but I think they're only going to get better as the season goes on.
Yeah, I'd agree. I hate concurrent winners. Victory, I get sour at teams that win too much, but I have a funny feeling that we are going to watch the Eagles just do enough week after week after week. Although my only bit of hope is that it does set them up for the ultimate kind of the drama of the cup, to use a soccer ball analogy, where they come up against like Hamilton Accies on an off or on their day and they somehow lose. So that's it. Browns for the Super Bowl. We're going to somehow get there and beat the Eagles.
That was a hot take from nowhere.
Absolutely. I've got to be a fan for some reason. On to last game that we're going to talk about, game itself, and it was prime time. So, and I'll be honest, this is less about the game, more about the after the game, to be very honest. We had the Atlanta Falcons playing the Minnesota Vikings, and the Falcons posed the Vikings 22-6. So on our scoreline first, are we seeing rookie pains? And I am being quite deliberate because, yes, I know JJ McCarthy is technically a second-year player. He's a rookie for all intents. He didn't play a single snap of football last year because he was broken. It's not like he was sitting behind someone waiting for an opportunity. This is his rookie year. Is this just rookie growing pains? Yes, he dropped 27 points week one. It was the Bears, people. The only team more funny in the league than the Browns. Yeah, he then could only muster up 6 against the incredibly unstoppable force of the Falcons. They ain't Super Bowl favourites. Are we seeing rookie growing pains, or should the fine people of Minnesota be looking at a performance like that and going, hang on a minute, we gave up Sam Darnold for you, damn it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got to look at this, that yes, JJ McCarthy did show some kind of touches of magic in that week one game. He did it all in one quarter. We've had, okay, small, I'll absolutely give you small sample size. And yeah, I completely agree with you. Let's treat him as if he is a rookie, because he did not play one snap in the regular season last year. He's not had much to show so far, but it's very unstable. And I genuinely thought that after the season that Sam Darnold had, obviously he's someone that has a bit of a ceiling, but you've still seen a full season of Sam. I actually thought that the Vikings might have considered trading JJ McCarthy to a QB hungry team, but obviously they felt they knew what they had, they knew what they wanted, and they made the decision to, I say to stick, but actually to make the change, to move on from not really the Darnold era, but certainly the Darnold phase, Darnold days, and go with JJ McCarthy. I guess we've got to say that the Vikings have accepted that risk, rookie growing pains and all.
Well, it's interesting because we now know that after the game, they're going to live with it or live without that risk for up to 4 weeks as JJ McCarthy is out. He's got a knee sprain. So he is going to need to deal without that. Carson Wentz rides again. The ghost of Carson Wentz. So yeah, Minnesota are a team that has aspirations to be in and about it most years. They are a really successfully run organisation. But yeah, I think I don't know. I think they might need to chalk this year up and wait for next year and hope that JJ's healthier. Of course, you can't mitigate for that, but that he learns and he grows and he develops. Now, a couple of just quick performances that were worth a mention, and we go from one quarterback who's new and a quarterback that's moved on to a quarterback that's moved on who's dear to your heart, Gav. we have seen this is great. It's like an evolution. It's like something out of Pokemon. We've seen Danny Dimes. He had his first evolution into Danny Dollars, and now he's Indiana Jones. Daniel Jones, Gav? What is going on?
Daniel Jones, I mean, this just seems to be, last year it was Saquon. This year it's apparently Daniel Jones.
Is it spite, Gav? Is it pure spite?
It's like, I mean, I don't know. I've not looked at whose contract's up with the Giants for the coming off season yet, but it just seems like it's a conveyor belt of look at what you could have won. I was the same with Saquon and same with Daniel Jones. Absolutely no harm to it. It's great to see the guy doing well because as much as he's obviously had his own shortcomings, he didn't have a lot to work with. He didn't really have an offensive line. He only really got a wide receiver one last year in New York. And yeah, he's just got a whole new situation in Indy. It's still early days in terms of asking that question of just how good is both Daniel Jones and the reinvigorated Colts side. We just kind of briefly touched on Sam Darnold, and that was a guy who felt like he'd kind of finally found a home in Minnesota last season. But as the season wore on, people kind of started to figure him out again. So will there be another adjustment? I guess it remains to be seen. But in this whole phase of way too early hot takes, Danny Jones is just on an absolute tear right now.
Generational talent, Daniel Jones, and I just love that he lends himself to nicknames in every possible moment. Other little bits of talking points of the weekend. Ben Johnson crushed, utterly destroyed. Much was made of this game going into it. A revenge game. We had Amon Ra on. I forget the name of the podcast he was on. I'm sure people can find the clip where he's talking about how when Ben Johnson goes on, he wants everyone to boo and he wants him to feel it. And my God, he delivered. Not only did he absolutely tear Ben Johnson's, the Bears generally get told a new one, but Amon Ra personally put up 115 yards and 3 touchdowns. So that got a sting. I don't know. Is this one that, this is very, even briefly, Gav, is this one where Bears fans, you need to just temper your expectations quite aggressively?
I mean, it's not looking great for the Bears, to be brutally honest. I think if we look at this game individually, we probably want to remember that, the Lions coming off of last season were the top team in the NFC. They were comfortably beaten in Green Bay, but the talent is still there. The pride is still there with the Lions. They had a point to prove. And, there probably is an element of not just, making that point to Ben Johnson and the Bears, but actually the rest of the league, that they are still a force to be reckoned with. Yeah, I think that this is one where the Lions are always going to be fired up. In answer to the question about the Bears, obviously we're only 2 games into the Ben Johnson era, but this is a team that's been trying to load up. You had your number 1 pick last year. You're actually able to pair him with Rome Odunze. You've invested in the skill positions. You've invested in the line. There's a lot that's already been pumped in. So it's not like it's a rookie coach, or as it was with Caleb last year, the rookie QB just dropped into with nothing to work with. There are, on paper at least, there's pieces in place there. And it's not been a great start.
Well, it really hasn't been. I am much much more down on the Bears than you are. I am much less measured about it. I think that Caleb is not him at all. I really don't see it. What I did see was I don't know if you spotted this one during the game, the Lions defense running a Ben Johnson play as one of their celebrations, which I'll be honest, I am absolutely here for that. I'm not terribly certain why that doesn't get classified as taunting. I suppose you can't taunt a coach. But that is the type of wind-uppery that I am all about. Now, our last big story coming out of the games at the weekend could not talk about this one. It was the Bengals. It was the Jags. I'm going to be honest, the game isn't all that important. The Bengals won. But the story that came out of that game, Joe Burrow, grade 3. He is going in for surgery. He is out for 3 months. And my God, I can't believe it, but there's a team in the AFC North season who's over faster than the Browns, and it's the Bengals. You've got no Joe Burrow till mid-December. I'm sorry, Jake Browning. I actually have a lot of time for Jake Browning. I mentioned when we were talking about backup quarterbacks earlier on. Jake Browning he's got to be in the conversation for probably the best backup in the league. But he's a backup for a reason. He's not a number one quarterback. There's no teams coming in. We've seen a lot of QB-hungry teams over the offseason. None of them were banging down the Bengals door saying, give us Jake Browning. He threw a lot of interceptions. When he throws nice passes, they look great, but there's too many picks in there to go with it. We're going to watch a Bengals team really suffer. And it's even as a sour, bitter Browns fan, I am always sorry to see top talent get hurt. We want to see these guys on the field. So yeah, Joe Burrow and Shamar Stewart actually, although we don't know how long he's out for. But yeah, Joe Burrow out for 3 months. Am I being a big negative Nancy? Or is the Bengals season done? Is it cooked?
Yeah, I mean, I guess just quick acknowledgement in this one as well, because I guess in-house Sarah, of course, a big Jags fan in our Touchdown family, but our husband actually a massive Bengals fan. But this is a game where I think both of them came out in floods of tears for different reasons. Yeah, I think it's a massive loss. And it's a strange one because, of course, as a fan, you think, oh God, ACL tears and broken legs, serious injury.
Tough toe.
Tough toe. It's like, oh, well, that's fine. You get a wee bruise, put a bandage on it, it'll be fine. Nope, 3 months. And, that's the thing about the NFL. It's a short, intense season. And I'm sure every single Bengals fan, both in the McKnight household and beyond, hoping that that was a pessimistic prognosis, but it's not a good sign, and especially, I guess, a frustrating one, because as much as we know that there's been gaps in Cincinnati, the one thing you could count on is you have got your receivers in Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. You've also got a pretty talented tight end as well. There's pieces there to for Joe Burrow to throw to. Unfortunately, Jake Browning, I'm sure he'll make some plays, but yeah, it doesn't set everyone's imaginations running wild about what the Bengals prospects are. And again, the AFC North is just one of these divisions where it doesn't matter what the individual franchises are. You know that the teams are going to take wins off one another at some point in the season. It's just that kind of level of rivalry. So to face off against that without your starting quarterback, and especially one of the caliber of Joe Burrow, yeah, it's going to be tough to see the Bengals coming back from that.
Yep, Zach Taylor said he would give anything to start the season 2-0. He did not quite have this type of bill in mind. Yeah, you get if it start 2-0, what does it cost you, Joe Burrow? Yeah, so not a great start for the Bengals, unfortunately. And yeah, that probably does mean that, sorry, Cincy fans, your season is probably about done already. Now, here at the Tartan Touchdown, we are a big fan of a rookie because we love the untapped potential, the sheer joy and the sheer mystery that the rookies can bring. So it's Rookie Watch. Couple of big rookie performances this week. Me and Gav had to have a chat about this before we came on. Before we came on air, everybody.
Right.
It's just to make sure that I didn't inadvertently steal Gav's rookie of the week performance. So a couple of the big rookie performances that we did see this week. Ted McMillan. He didn't have an incredible week one. Week one, he only went 5 receptions for 68 yards, which, to be fair, he's a rookie, but still, if all the hype he had, that was poor. But he cracked 100 yards this week, so we love to see it. Ted McMillan doing some good things. Bashal Tootin, we were talking about the Jags just a minute ago, 74 scrimmage yards and a score. Now, you look at his yards individually and they're not great, but 74 scrimmage yards sounds a lot better than what his discrete totals were. And I have to mention it. The Ravens kicker, Mr. Loop, took part in knocking the Browns for a loop. Perfect in the blowout win. 5 of 5 extra points and 2 field goals, neither of them from tremendously far. He ain't no Aubrey. He ain't kicking them from 60 plus yards. But then again, when you're the Ravens playing the Browns, you are never in a position where your kicker needs to do that from 60 plus yards. You can walk it right up the field and let him dink them in from much closer. So, all brilliant rookie performances. But, Gav, give me your rookie performance of the week, please.
Oh, you're going to tie me to one now. I mean, I came back from traveling, so I spent a fair bit of time focusing on the Giants Cowboys game in the early window. But from catching the highlights, one thing really caught my eye. Obviously, he's on a baptism of fire in Tennessee, but Cam Ward and Eric. Told me to count this.
This is why Gav's having to say this name, because I would stand no chance.
Eric Eilmanner making a spectacular touchdown grab, but Cam Ward extending the play and then basically just throwing back across his body from the right-hand side of the field to the left, I think it was. That was unreal. And I guess that's the kind of thing that, one play does not by any means make a rookie of the year campaign, but certainly you're seeing some flashes of why the Titans wanted to spend that number 1 pick on Cam Ward. That was just a fantastic highlight. I guess the other thing, seeing as I did invest so much of my time, I kind of passed on Mr. Hansen for most of this weekend and focused on the Giants game. We did see the debut of Mr. Jackson Dart. So that was an interesting story. And to be fair, he gets he's been getting a fair bit of criticism, but I think Brian Daboll played in everyone's emotions with that and took full advantage, because actually Jackson Dart didn't do very much, but instead, whilst everyone was kind of gushing over the rookie quarterback, just handed off to the other rookie, Cam Scatterbo, and he powered it in for some big gains. Not a perfect game for Cam, as much as he was getting a lot of love in the off-season. Did have what was actually a really costly drop in fourth down in the red zone. But yeah, certainly, again, he's another player that's showing some flashes and giving me reasons to be cheerful.
I love Cam Scatterbo because whenever you watch him, he doesn't make sense. Like, none of Cam Scatterbo's tape should work. The way he runs, the way he takes on defenders, none of that should work. Nobody should be able to do the things that he does. And it's not even like they're really, really like spectacular reverse hurdles over. No. Just the way he runs at people. You're like, how are you getting away with this? But yes, and it's great to watch, and we're here for it. So there you go, one QB performance, rookie QB performance of the week, one rookie QB handoff of the week. This is a super niche category, Gav. I don't know if we're going to be able to keep that one going week to week, I'll be honest with you, mate. But it was a nice one to watch, and it was a good play, to be fair, because as you say, it was well engineered, playing in the old sports psychology. Now, we are, we've got 2 instead of 1 to go tonight. We are nearly at the end of week 2, but we've got the Bucks squaring off against the Texans and the undefeated Chargers facing the also undefeated Raiders. But that is to be settled tonight. We are going to have a quick look ahead to week 3 Going to have a 2 minutes on the games that we are most looking forward to. And because I am hosting, I am taking the big game because I got in here before Gav could say no. So, biggest game of the week for me, it's going to be Monday Night Football. It is there. It is prime time. It is prime time for a very good reason. We are hopefully in for a treat. We have got the Lions at the Ravens. Dare I be greedy and optimistic and hope for a repeat of week 1? Where we had Bills Ravens and all of the scoring and all of the offense and just pure football joy. I'd say that, and the game is now going to finish like 3-2. We're going to have a safety and a field goal, and that's going to be it. It's going to be a total sludge fest. But Lions at Ravens, both teams flying at the minute. I'm well aware it's only week 3 or about to be week 3. But those are two teams that, after week 2, we were talking about week 1 Lions, I'd maybe be selling a slightly different narrative. But week 2 Lions, week 2 Ravens, incredible. And then not one that looks like it's going to be quite so high-powered. Not one that looks maybe like it'd be quite as glamorous as that, but one I want the story from. Kansas City at your beloved New York Giants. We mentioned it earlier, and the sober head says KC should walk out of this with a win. But we've seen the Giants look good. They look good against Dallas. KC have been looking vulnerable. Could we see an 0-3 KC?
Well, I'll tell you what. The one thing that's a wee bit different is, Dallas had Brandon Aubrey, but Harrison Butker's not kicking butt at the moment. So,
sorry, Gav, you need to say his full name. It's Harrison Butker Wide Right. Sorry, Kansas fans. The Butker.
I promised I would enter politics in this podcast, so we'll just start saying that.
I literally mean he's
quite comfortable, but with Harrison Butker struggling.
Yeah. So Gav, what are your two? So I've been a terribly bad host, and not only did I steal the glamour Monday Night Football game, I also stole the game that's got your team in it. What are your 2 games you're looking ahead to next in week 3, mate?
Well, I've got to say, just on your 2 games very quickly, it is a really stacked sort of prestige games in the schedule this week. So Monday Night Football, as much as that's traditionally the big game, like sometimes, in recent years, the best part of it seems to be the opening package for the game with Chris Stapleton and the others. But no, that is absolutely the game of the week. And 2 teams that, they're both 500. So they both had tough losses to other contenders in week 1. So all of a sudden, for whoever wins this, fantastic. Whoever loses this, you've now dropped 2 games to playoff contenders, playoff level competition. So yeah, it's like you said, week 3, but that is a must win for both those teams if they really want to set the tone for the season. But yeah, absolutely. You've taken the big fixtures out for me. I think the couple that I'm going to look at though, probably we'll start with probably the smaller one, but Broncos at Chargers maybe doesn't jump out, but I think like we've touched on the fact that the Chiefs are struggling a bit. Chargers currently only 1-0. They could be 2-0 come tonight. They obviously face the Raiders, and Broncos, a team that again has been getting a lot of love in the off season. So I guess, if we're seeing the Chiefs potentially taking that step back, that's a game where I'm looking at and trying to think who's going to fill the void in that division, who really wants to step up. Obviously, we've got a couple of coaches there, with great credentials, now firmly established. Harbaugh's in year 2. Peyton's been there, I think, 3 years now. So I think that's one that is really going to be interesting to watch, and that's obviously in the kind of prime time window at the 9:05 games for us. The other one, which really did fly under the radar when I was looking through it, is we do have the Rams visiting the Eagles. One of those teams is going to come out 3-0, guaranteed, and that's a playoff rematch. That was quite an exciting playoff match in the divisional round back in January. So obviously Rams going on the road. There's that whole thing about West Coast teams coming to the East Coast and in terms of how they perform with that. But he did put up quite the fight back in the postseason. So I do have to admit, it's probably not the strongest slate of games. I think that's one that I'd be wanting to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. I think we are hopefully in for a week 3 as incredible and entertaining as week 2 has been up to this point. And hopefully we have got 2 games late on tonight, tomorrow morning for us, that are going to keep the week 2 drama alive. And with that look ahead and look behind, it brings us to the end of the show. Now, we hope that you have enjoyed listening to and watching our review of week 2. Episodes will be here every single Tuesday to walk you back through the weekend's action. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube and to Tartan Touchdown on all podcast platforms. Make sure you don't miss a single minute of the season ahead. Thank you all for tuning in, and until next time, we'll see you soon.